Our fourth speaker is going to be David Hasselkeist. I think I got that close. Sorry for mispronouncing everything. And he's going to be talking about raising the bar, improved fingerprinting attacks, and defenses for video streaming traffic.
Okay, so plain encryption is not sufficient to protect your privacy, and I'll tell you more why. And today I'll present our work on raising the bar, improved fingerprinting attacks and defenses for video streaming. This is joint work with Ethan Whitwer, August Karlsson, Niklas Johansson, and Niklas Karlsson, where Ethan and Niklas Karlsson is also here in the room. So online streaming is estimated to account for almost 70% of the internet traffic today, and the content that we watch can reveal much about our thoughts, opinions, and interests. It is important that users should be able to obtain independent information without an adversary either controlling or monitoring this information, and an adversary capable of disclosing even a small fraction of which videos users are streaming can have significant privacy impact. As an example, streaming represents a major source of many people's daily news, and the disclosure of this can result in targeted political misinformation. Like here we have the political ads during the 2020 presidential election campaign collecting personal information and spreading misleading information, or we have political campaigns targeting you on Facebook. We also have censorship examples in the streaming domain, like China censoring a top live streamer on the eve of June 4. We have Malaysia eyes censorship powers over Netflix, and we have Amazon's Twitch banning some channels after researchers finding pro-Russia propaganda. So traffic analysis generally refers to inferences that can be made via observable patterns in encrypted communications, where the goal is often to extract user behavior, online activity, or communication parties. It is a form of metadata analysis where we assume the payload to be secure and instead analyze the packet sizes, packet timing, as well as the direction, so the metadata. And here we assume a local passive adversary monitoring the encrypted connection between the client and the server, and this includes a broad range of potential actors, including malicious users on the same local network, as well as the internet service provider. And the attacker collects traces of packet metadata and uses a machine learning classifier to determine which video is being watched. In the context of video streaming, one can easily see here in the plot how streaming leaks sensitive information, where here we show the encrypted traffic of 3 different video streams, or 3 different videos, and they are streamed using something that's called variable bitrate, which adjusts the bitrate based on the complexity of the video, where scenes with minimal motion or static images require lower bit rates, whereas action-packed scenes require or demand higher bit rates. And combined with something that's called dynamic adaptive streaming over HTTP, also known as DASH, each video is broken up into segments of the same duration but with different sizes, making the pattern of one single video quite unique. And this pattern can then be used by an attacker to identify which video is being watched over the network. But despite the threat, few defenses have been proposed, and these often highlight only a single feature like segment size or segment intervals. And none of these accept or provide acceptable trade-offs between 3 important factors, which are protection, overhead, and quality of experience, leaving users exposed. Therefore, in our work, we present the first extensive study of video fingerprinting defenses, and we do this by beginning by applying website fingerprinting attacks to video traffic, and then we implement video fingerprinting attacks from prior work. Next, we adapt 2 website fingerprinting defense, front and regulator, to work with video traffic and also assess their effectiveness using simulations as well as live deployments. We propose Scrambler, which is a defense that achieves competitive results against all of the evaluated attacks that we evaluate, and we do this by having moderate overhead, high quality of experience, as well as significant protection. And finally, we collect and release the dataset long enough, which is a large-scale dataset containing network data as well as QE metric data in varying network conditions. So in our work, we evaluate the use of 5 different attacks, with the first 2 being website fingerprinting attacks, where we evaluate deep fingerprinting, also known as DF, as well as TikTok. And for video fingerprinting attacks, we evaluate leaky streams, WhatsApp ears, and Beauty and the Burst. And when using these attacks on our undefended dataset, we are able to achieve pretty high results. For example, pretty high accuracy. So for example here at the top there, we see if we attack for about 15 seconds, or if we eavesdrop on the stream for about 15 seconds, we are able to achieve 83 or 92% accuracy, depending on if you are using DF or TikTok. Whereas if we listen for a bit longer, 43 seconds, we can increase this accuracy up to 97%. And for video fingerprinting attacks, if we eavesdrop on the stream for 60 seconds, we can achieve over 90% accuracy, whereas Beauty and the Burst notably stands out with 99% accuracy. So how do we defend against these kinds of attacks? Well, we have these kinds of defense mechanisms, where the first thing we can do is simply to add dummy traffic. And these are padding packets that are indistinguishable from those carrying real application data, and this of course comes at the cost of additional throughput. We can also add packet delays, and of course this comes at the cost of additional latency. But using these defense mechanisms, we can form some defense strategies. With the first one that we consider in our work is random padding. And the idea with random padding is that we simply apply a heuristic that randomly inserts packets throughout the stream. Or we can use some constant rate or regularization, where we both delay and insert packets to achieve some form of constant rate. And we can use different fixed rate windows to regularize or have different constant on different parts of the video stream. And in our work, we evaluate the use of 4 defenses, as well as when not applying any defense. And this is undefended. We have constant rate, we have adapted front, where we adapt defense front to video traffic. We have adapted regulator, and we also have scrambler, which is the defense that we propose. And I'll quickly walk through these and their results. So for the first case, where we have undefended, here we show the throughput as well as 4 different quality of experience metrics over time. At the top we have throughput, we have buffer size, as well as live latency, as here we are considering when we are watching a live stream. We also have the playback rate in blue there at the bottom, where the optimal playback rate is of course at 100%. And we have the bit rate, which is the quality of the stream, where the optimal is the maximum quality, and in this case it's 4 megabits per second. So at the top here we see that the throughput varies over time, creating a unique fingerprint for this specific video. In the middle we see that the buffer size fluctuates just below the targeted live latency of 3 seconds, and at the bottom we see that the playback rate is set to 100% after some initial adjustments. And quality switches only occur in the beginning, and the stream is being played at the maximum quality of 4 megabits per second. And in summary, with undefended, we get high throughput, no overhead, high quality experience, but of course we have no protection. Moving on to the constant rate. So with the constant rate defense, the idea is to send packets at a constant rate on both the client and the server side, and the rate should be the same for all the videos. So here at the top we observe a steady rate of traffic with some content-independent throughput drops due to some machine limitations. And in the middle we see periods with temporary pauses and stalls in the playback, which causes an increase in the live latency, the orange line. And this in turn causes the playback rate to increase, the blue line at the bottom, pushing the live latency down towards its target of 3 seconds. And as the live latency decreases, so does the playback rate, eventually reaching 100%. But in summary, with the constant rate defense, all attacks become completely ineffective, as we achieve an accuracy of only 1% over 100 videos, which is basically, in this case, random guessing. But we have high overhead, and quality of experience is degraded with wait and stall events. Moving on to our adapted front defense. So the idea with adapted front is that we adapt the website fingerprinting defense front, but to video traffic, where we simply repeat the front defense over a continuous stream. And this results in a cyclic pattern of cover traffic throughout the video stream. And here we see that the quality of experience is unaffected by the defense, and the playback is almost always at the highest quality. And this is because front does not delay packets or inject enough padding to exhaust our link. But with adapted front, we observe that it provides very poor protection, with accuracy being around 73 to 99%. depending on the attack, and even if we are using unreasonable amounts of overhead. But the good thing is that quality of experience is not impacted. Moving on to adapted regulator, where the idea is to adapt the website fingerprinting defense regulator but to video traffic, and here we are maintaining a rigid traffic pattern which is less strict than the constant rate, which we can see at the top plot there. And this results in low attack accuracy, moderate overhead, but we can see through the bottom plot that we have very poor quality of experience with wait and stall events and excessive number of quality switches. And this highlights the importance of evaluating not only a defense performance, but also its effects on quality of experience. As in this case, we have good performance in terms of attack accuracy, but very poor performance in terms of quality of experience. And finally, moving on to our proposed defense, Scrambler, which we consider is a hybrid defense. The idea here is to regularize packet timing within segment transmissions and randomize segment sizes as much as possible by having padding traffic after each segment. And our proposed defense, Scrambler, provides a more acceptable trade-off than the other tested defenses, with attack accuracy being significantly reduced depending on attack or much randomness, all the way down to 6%. We have moderate overhead, which is much less than the constant rate, and we are able to achieve high quality of experience. So to conclude the presentation, in our work we have presented the first extensive study of video fingerprinting defenses, where we first began by applying website fingerprinting attacks to video traffic, and we implemented video fingerprinting attacks from prior works. We adapted two website fingerprinting defenses, front and regulator, to work with video traffic, and we assessed their effectiveness with both simulations and live deployments. We proposed Scrambler, which is a defense that achieves competitive results against all of the attacks that we evaluated. And we have moderate overhead, high quality experience, and significant protection. And finally, we have collected and released Long Enough, which is a large-scale dataset containing both network traffic and QE metric data in varying network conditions. And our work shows that there is pressing need for more attention to fingerprinting defenses. With that said, more details are in the paper, and which can be found online, and I open up for any questions.
Thanks a lot, very nice talk. I'm wondering, so your adversary model implies video on demand, right? Because if you have live streaming, then the adversary cannot pre-train any templates or whatever, so you have video on demand. Did you consider prefetching instead of having cover traffic that is just like dummy traffic? Because if it's video on demand, you could prefetch future segments, right? And then you don't need any additional overhead other than that.
So with video on demand, yes, you are correct. We can prefetch the segment sizes, or sometimes you can even calculate the segment sizes beforehand. But in our work, we actually do live streaming, and we assume that the attacker in this case would collect the traces, train on it, and then classify it afterwards. So the data set or the streaming is based on live streaming in this case.
You mentioned you were doing your experiments with 100 videos. Obviously, there are more than 100 videos available for streaming. Do you think that these results would extend if you were trying to do these attacks in a actual online environment?
I mean, yes, the results would probably still hold. I mean, this is evaluated in a closed world environment where similar settings as website fingerprinting, we are using a world of around 100 websites or around 100 videos, but we can also evaluate in an open world where we would classify on streams that are beyond these 100 streams. But in many cases, yes, the results would still hold.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.